Steve, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alexa. Thank you for having me on.
You're welcome. Well, let's get right into it. Tell us a little bit more about your company, Clear Title.
Well, Clear Title America was started about a little over 3 years ago. Obviously, one of the worst markets that we've seen in the United States, and especially in the state of Florida. But we did see opportunity as well as the challenges, and fortunately, we were able to bring on the right people to really make it a success in a very short period of time.
Great. So tell us a little bit about your team. It seems like it has a wide range of experience, right?
That's true. Gary Alderman, who is our COO, he ran a very large division in a national company for quite some time.
Okay.
And his experience goes from the default services industry, which is really those industries like the REO market, things that the asset managers work with, you know, that you see on the TV all the time, and to anything from 1031 exchanges. I mean, I know I'm saying some things that might be a little bit technical, but he's got experience in all different avenues. Subsequent to him coming on and building his team, he brought on our National Services Director, Harold Harper, who also was instrumental in developing an entire national platform for 2 different companies.
Great. So what can you do for our sellers in today's market?
Well, it's a little bit of a challenge on one side. You've really got 2 different kinds of sellers.
Yes.
You've got the traditional market, and then you've got the distressed asset or the distressed seller. And on that side, there's a lot of things that we can do to assist a seller that is truly distressed. In other words, someone that's really underwater, can't get out of the way, can't make their payments. We have a lot of investors and short sale negotiators that we work with. But set that aside for the time being, and let's talk about the traditional market.
Right.
On the traditional market, you know, the title insurance in and of itself is regulated in the state of Florida. You know, our fees are pretty much standard with everybody else's out there. But I think one of the unique things that we do is we assist the sellers and the realtors with not only just the closing in and of itself, but also with you know, helping to set up the appraisals and the termite and the little things that need to be done, as well as we actually take mobile notaries to your physical location, no matter where it may be. You could be in Pennsylvania, it really doesn't matter, at no additional fees to the client.
That's great. That's a unique service. Not everybody are doing that.
Well, one of the reasons that we do that, Alexa, is because we want to make sure that we have the documentation back in our hands the next day. Because we believe it's signed correctly, and we want to get it recorded as soon as possible. If we can get it recorded by the second day, which is generally the case, then everybody's happy.
That's perfect. And Clear Title, is that a national company, local?
Yeah, we looked at doing some national things and actually had a national network for quite some time, but what we saw was we didn't quite get the quality that we wanted to have and that we were used to in our corporate offices on West Shore. So we brought on Harold about June 6th, actually, he started working for our company, and we have a national network of investors that we work with. So we are now able to work with them directly, process all of their documentation and all of their files right out of our Florida office to maintain the quality that we know that they expect from us.
That's excellent. And how are you able to penetrate the investors market locally as well as nationally?
That's an interesting question. About 2.5 years ago, we were working with a large funder, and he had come to Gary and myself, as well as his partners, and asked us for assistance on some very difficult transactions. One thing led to another, and before you know it, we were all over the internet. You know how those things go.
Sure.
It kind of went semi-viral to a certain extent, but we were able to structure and close transactions that are very difficult, not only in the state of Florida, but nationally as well.
Steve, what is the biggest strength of Clear Title in today's market?
Probably our biggest strength outside of our clients, of course, would be networking. And in networking, I'm not talking about just going to meet people and introduce you to people or go to, you know, some event somewhere and just sit around and talk. I'm talking about actually going to events, going to different things and meeting people and finding ways to help them. The more people that you can help get to their goal, the better off you're going to be and the more profitable you're going to be. It can't be about you, it has to be about them, because that will lead them back to you. And it also creates that very strong bond, not just professionally but personally, with those particular business associates, which really strengthens things even further.
Steve, back to the local market. What do you see in our market today?
We've seen an uptick in the number of closings, not just from our company, but others as well. Not so much in pricing. We're still seeing pretty much flat pricing, no increase, no real decrease either. We're seeing, from a traditional seller standpoint, we're actually seeing them getting the price close to the prices that they're looking at if they're priced correctly. Unfortunately, from the distressed seller standpoint, it's still very negative. You're talking about probably somewhere between possibly 10 to 30% less than what a traditional seller would be able to get in the market today.
Absolutely. And what would you say the percentage of traditional sellers versus distressed properties is?
Well, in ours, it's probably going to be a little bit skewed because we have so many investors that are clients of ours, and we're probably doing about 60-40, 60 investor, 40% traditional.
Okay, great. Do you have any final thoughts for our viewers?
Sure. Well, one thing I would say is that I'm very optimistic in the markets today. It's not really as bad as it looks. I think we've got some challenges ahead of us with the banks and what's going to occur with the shadow inventory, as well as the Alt-A that is coming up to the periods where we're beginning to see defaults in that area as well. But if you're a buyer, right now I would say is a great time to buy. I mean, you've got very reasonably priced product. If you're making $13 an hour, maybe you or your spouse or your partner are making $13 an hour a piece, you can actually afford to buy a nice home today, which was not the case 5 years ago, of course. And the interest rates that we're seeing today, sub 4 in some areas if you've got very high credit, and certainly below 5 even on the FHA, it's very, very attractive and very reasonable.
Do you have any tips for the sellers in today's market?
I would say that if you're a traditional seller, you really want to work with your agent very closely and make sure that you price your product appropriately. If you do, the shorter time it's going to sit on the market. The longer it sits on the market, as you well know, the more you're going to have to discount it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.